I always had this very strong kind of existential angst. And I'm not quite sure why, but I had it since a young age. Because I didn't lose anybody um, early in my life. But I just was, for some reason, I was just keenly aware of impermanence and that nothing lasts. Some part of me was very aware of that truth. And it was a little inner struggle for me. And so I had a lot of anxiety. So I always had a lot of like a constant undercurrent of anxiety. And I was always kind of seeking and exploring a different spiritual paths or meditation paths in order to find my way through that. It felt like it was a spiritual quest to me. Um, and I tried different ways of practicing Zen Buddhism and Tibetan Buddhism, but it wasn't quite the right fit culturally. It felt too foreign for me. But I was very, very lucky. Um, it got to a point at which I was married with two young children. And, it kind of got to a crisis because the more that I had, the more it felt like there was to lose, right? And so it also, so I found myself, I had worked for many years as a family court mediator in the Superior Court doing child custody disputes. So I was working all the time. But then once our two young children were born, I found myself a stay-at-home mom. And it was a bit of a crisis for me in that I really could not just be. I couldn't just be as I was. And that's probably one of the most important things needed as a parent, that you can just be present. And I felt like I was just kind of wired because of my anxiety issues to constantly justify my existence by the next thing I was doing, the next achievement, and my identity out in the world. So the good news is I was very lucky to get into a clinical group, a small private clinical group with Dan Siegel. He's kind of famous in the mindfulness and neuroscience world. He's written many books on the subject. And I was in that small clinical group when he was first beginning to practice as a meditator, going on retreats. So I started there and I took to it like a duck to water. It just felt, I think I needed the more secular kind of portal into Buddhism. With neuroscience and psychology and kind of what I do, right? It was the language in which I speak. And so it felt really relatable to me. But the rest is history, I guess. It just opened up a whole new career path for me. I was already a licensed therapist, but I became certified as a mindfulness-based stress reduction therapist and started teaching here in Los Angeles. And as a therapist, it really informed my work deeply with clients because it allowed me to become so much more present and available to what was really going on with them and to connect deeply with where they were at without trying to fix or to strive. And it's so interesting how now I'm a death doula. So you can feel the full circle of that whole narrative, that the anxieties that I had, now I think because of Buddhism, which really turns towards death and the truth of impermanence directly, as simply a part of the human existence. And I think we live in a culture that's very taboo. It's taboo to talk about death and the end of life. So it allowed me to contemplate and really turn towards it. And it turns out it wasn't death that was really here's my little dog. It wasn't death that was really the issue. It was my fear of it. And also my inability to live fully in the present moment. I think because I couldn't land into what was really happening in my life, I didn't have the capacity to really be present. I was missing it in every moment. And I knew it deep down. Deep down, I knew that I wasn't really fully present. It was a bit of a crisis for sure, but I'm so glad that I can be so fully present now in such a way that I can be of service, especially around areas of death and dying and pain and suffering, and to be present in those areas with other people to allow for healing and transformation.